Hey everyone, welcome back to the Mention It All podcast. Today I am excited to be joined by a new guest to the show. She is the executive director of special projects at People, and today she has a very special project indeed to talk about. So welcome Andrea Lavinthal. Hello.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. We have a Bravo breaking alert about this issue that you've put out today.
We have the Hot Guy Summer, TM, like trademark, issue out today, and it features 6 of your favorite, most eligible Bravo bachelors.
I was really excited when I heard this was happening because I just love whenever there's like a real, like some great images that we're working with, a great grouping. It's kind of a fun assortment. And I feel like the men on Bravo don't always get a lot of the spotlight, rightfully so, a lot of the time. But with this, it's like, it's fun to have all these guys in one place together. And I imagine it was a really interesting time on set having everyone together.
Well, when I was writing this story, I was like, I think Mother Nature is a Bravo fan, because the day we got for the shoot, it was mid-April in New York City, which is not known for being like great weather.
It could snow. Yeah.
It was like 78 degrees, low humidity, so like my hair looked good, which was important. Brilliant blue skies, brilliant sunshine, and I was like, oh, Mother Nature loves Bravo. Look at this. We were on the rooftop of the Gansevoort Hotel at the pool. So like it was perfect.
Like Carl's in the pool.
Carl's teeth were glistening. Jesse's curls were glowing in the sunshine. It was like a perfect day.
Can you talk about putting together this group of guys and like how you kind of, because you pulled, it's Tom Schwartz. It's Fraser from Below Deck. It's Tyson Beckford, who is not.
We were like, why are you here?
About to be in King's Court on Bravo. And then you have Jesse and Carl and Shep.
I know, it's a motley crew. So basically we were like, we want just the single guys. So that narrowed it down. And now what is single in Bravo world? Now we have to get the publicist involved. Is he single? Is this can we say he's single, he's a bachelor, or is this going to be a plot line? Like, we don't want to be involved in the drama. So these were guys who, according to their publicists, are single. And look, they were available to come to the shoot. It's hard to wrangle, bringing you into the inner workings of a shoot. Like, it was supposed to be 7. TJ was supposed to be there as well. TJ's flight got canceled in true Bravo fashion. Like, it's like the plot point on every show. It's like somebody misses a flight. So we had these 6 guys who were able to miraculously make it on the same day in April. And chaos ensued, but good chaos.
I watched the feature that came out has like some really great quotes from everyone, and I got to watch the video of the interview, and it's so funny because having all these guys just like situated in a row on their little chairs, and it's like it's hurting cats a little bit, but also I love that you can see like Carl saying something and then Tyson is like responding to it. I'm like, these guys, like, they don't know each other.
No. And it was like a fraternity. It was like the incoming class of a fraternity bonding. A lot of them do know each other well, but Tyson's obviously brand new to the Bravoverse. So when they gave us like, oh, and we want Tyson Beckford to do it, we were like, I'm sorry. I was like, the hottest man to ever wear a pair of underpants is coming. Like, why? And then they told us about King's Court. He was great. He watches their shows. So he told them like immediately, like, I know who you guys are. And to see them all like, they have an understanding. Like, they're in this very weird world together. So there's like an instant bond between them. And they were adorable together.
Yeah, I think it was really, it's interesting to see these guys in an interview setting where they're mostly talking about real life stuff like dating versus like, oh, on episode 4 when you were arguing with this person,
I wanted to
that.
get, what you don't see on TV.
And I thought it was really interesting, like the way they were talking about when you meet someone and whether or not they acknowledge that they've watched the show. And then Shep was like, yeah, like sometimes somebody will be like, oh, I don't watch the show. And then they're like referencing something that happened
they're like,
on the show.
In season 3, episode 4, 30 minutes in, you said this. And he's like, so you do watch the show? And it's like, no, I don't.
It's like, well, I'm not a fan.
Right. And they were all saying that it's funny, like the difference between someone who is such a fan, pretends not to be a fan. And then the people who are like, I don't know you. I don't watch Bravo. Like, I think it's dumb. And then they're like, okay, like, thanks. They said there's one in every group. Like, if there's a group of girls or guys, there's always one who's like, I don't know you.
Yeah. I mean, like, it is funny, even like at BravoCon or something, like somebody will come up to me and be like, oh my God, I love the podcast. Like, it's so nice to see you. And their friend is just standing there literally like dead eyed. Like,
They're like, what show are you on?
they're like, I want to go get a drink.
Yeah. It's very humbling.
And I'm like, I get it. If
it's
you don't
a
know who I
weird kind
am.
of fame.
Yeah.
It's an interesting kind of fame because they have, in the world they live in, they are the world. Like, everybody's so tuned into Jesse Solomon's breakup and all this stuff. But if you don't watch, you're like, I have no idea who you are.
Yeah. And I feel like in the last, handful of years, it's become so much more of an ecosystem where it's like, there's BravoCon, there's all these other events, there's so many business ventures, and now Jesse's doing music and all of this stuff.
Yes,
And it's
yes,
like,
he is.
well, we can get to that, but it's like there's so much of an infrastructure around it that it's not just like, oh yeah, like I have some Instagram followers and I'm on this show.
No, this is a business.
3 months out of the year. It's like, no, this is like a corporation.
Well, what's funny is my first question was basically like, where are you all at in your respective dating journeys? And immediately Carl was like, well, right now I'm focused on my business, soft bar, coming soon. And I was like, okay,
It's a space. It's open all day. We don't serve alcohol.
Right. I was like, okay, business. Like, this is their livelihood. So they take it seriously.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I think that
definitely take it seriously.
that came up in the conversation too, that it's like, if you were dating somebody and reality TV was like a hard no for them, is that a deal breaker? And it's like, I don't think anybody would necessarily say like, yes, if I met the love of my life and she didn't want to be on TV, it would be over. But like, it would be a conversation.
It would be over. Let me tell you, after being with these guys, it would totally be over. No one wants to say that. But the truth is, like, I think it was Jesse said something along the lines of, he met a great girl, this Jewish girl. He was like very, into her. And basically her friends were like, no, like, don't do this. Maybe she didn't watch. And then he was like, it was a non-starter for her. And the guy's reaction to that was, well, then she wasn't the right one for you. So I think it's like, this is you're doing you, and anyone who loves you will sign on.
Yeah. I mean, it has to be hard. Like, somebody like Jesse, he's been on this show for 2 seasons, and like the level of intensity that people are evaluating his choices. It's like this whole Lexi situation. It's like he made some, poor choices. Maybe she's made some strange, decisions in handling stuff, but it's like, it's not that deep.
It's really not that deep. Like this one was like as deep as a Frisbee as far as Bravo relationships go. Like I think I can say, well, I'm going to say it. The day we shot was the day before that he shot the reunion.
Okay.
He was nervous. He shared, like he said to everybody, like, I'm nervous. And I think he knew he was going to be in the hot seat and it was going to be tough. But I think there was also a part of him that was like, but why? And I was laughing, like, have you ever met a 30-year-old single man in New York City, or any city for that matter? They're all like that. Mm-hmm. Like, there's a lot of women. It seems like there's very few men. They all kind of get a little sense of themselves, a little full of themselves. It's not unusual.
Yeah. And I think like watching him and Lexi on this season of Summer House, it's like, when you're in that environment where it is very like hyper focused and you're spending these like 48, 72 hour chunks together, it's like, it does feel like almost you've lived like a 3-act drama.
Yeah, it's like The Bachelor. Like, all of a sudden you've like had an entire relationship in the span of like 1 week. It's very intense. And what's funny is, just so happened that the day after I did the interview with Jesse, we had a party to celebrate the People app, and Lexi came.
Yeah.
And I was like, after 2 minutes of talking to Lexi, I'm like, well, now I love her. Like, it's like, it's just so silly. The whole, I mean, it's not silly for them. It's real for them. It's their feelings, heads and hearts. But she was great too. I was like, okay, well, now I like her.
Well, I feel that, I mean, like, I've had so many people come through here where it's like, okay, they're going through something on the show. I may or may not agree with all of their choices, but I'm talking to them for 30 minutes and I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, you're like, sure. I vote for you.
I'm like, I don't know that I would like, co-sign everything I'm seeing on TV, but like, I get it.
Yeah.
I have talked about this before, but last season when The Valley was in season 1, I had Jesse.
I thought you were going to say you became besties with Janet. And I was going to be like, what happened? Okay, so you had Jesse
Won't go that far.
Lolly.
He was so charming in person.
Was he? Well,
He's
then
just
you
like,
understand why someone would
it
marry
just-
him,
it
right?
just like worked.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I get that Michelle feels threatened or like whatever, but it's like,
You get it.
yeah.
So,
There is, with a lot of these people, you mentioned people are very tall.
okay, let me tell you something about Tom Schwartz. Tom Schwartz on all 11 seasons of Vanderpump Rules is a walking red flag. In fact, most of these guys are. If you just want to go by like stats, lying, more cheating, like whatever. In person, in our interview, he is a baby angel. He is a golden retriever. You want to hug him. You want to take him home. And then you realize he's never going to take care of you. You're always going to be taking care of him. But man, he is like charming and sweet. The first thing he said when he answered the "where are you at in your dating journey" question was he basically held up his finger and said, "There's room on this finger for another ring. Like, I'm ready to do it again." He's the JLO of Bravo. He loves love. Can't help it.
Him and Katie are one of those couples where like I have never been happier that two people realized they shouldn't be together, because it's just like go spread your wings. I mean,
But
maybe,
there's a part of me that thinks they're like the most toxic couple like you went to high school with, and somehow they're just going to end back together. I know that's terrible. I shouldn't say that.
I don't know. I mean, Katie just seems like
Katie has moved on.
Katie's
Tom,
moved on.
Tom wants to move on. He said he's like not really dating, but he wants to find love. He's just like waiting for it to just find him, to like sit on his lap and brush his hair and tell him it's all going to be okay.
Yeah. Well, they're also in an interesting place. I mean, career-wise, if you want to say that, like the show ended and like, you know, Tom made a cameo on The Valley this season, but it's like, what are the next 10 years of his life like? Not in, like even outside of relationships. It's like,
Right. Where does he go? What does he do? I mean, he's a man who needs somebody to come in with her shit together and be like, this is how it's going to be. He needs another Katie, frankly. That's why I'm like, he might as well just be with Katie.
yeah,
That's he said he wants someone with their shit together.
he needs somebody who's gonna like
He needs a camp
clean.
counselor.
He needs somebody who already has like a clean home that he can
Yes.
just sort of like,
A professional organizer, maybe,
okay.
you know, or dog trainer.
He can go hang out at Vanderpump Dogs
Yeah.
and see
I
who
feel
the
like
options
somebody
are.
who trains dogs would do like wonders for him, and he'd be happy.
I could see that.
He's happy in captivity. They were all very tall, which you've interviewed celebrities before. Most of the time they're like pocket sized, and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, you vibe.
Right,
so
it's like
much.
the Housewives tend to be small, but the Bravo guys
I
tend
wish
to be.
it goes against the laws of celebrity. They're much taller in person. Carl was like dazzling in person.
Yeah.
Like he's tall, he's incredibly well spoken. He speaks kind of like the Calm app, I imagine. Like it's very motivational, it's very thoughtful. You know, he has a lot of like, he's been therapized for sure.
It has been really fascinating this season of Summer House to watch both him and Lindsay go into the therapy toolbox and sort of bring that out at different points. And
Yes.
it's like, it's kind of wild how they're following almost a similar playbook,
Yes.
but like
In different
just on different ways.
Yes, different tools in that toolbox. He is, he's very focused on his business. It's basically, but he had a lot of like really, you know, introspective things to say, and I really enjoyed meeting him. He was like a big surprise. I
Yeah.
didn't think I was like such a Carl enthusiast. I was kind of neutral, and I walked away being like, I would get a soft bar mocktail with that man.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
I'll be
and
there.
talk more about him. I feel
I'll
like
be there whenever.
yeah, he had a lot to say about him. Shep is someone who loves an SAT word.
Oh, yeah.
Like you're like, I'll never use these words again. He will.
I think Shep is somebody who like, he's a smart guy.
He is.
And he wants you to know it. And a lot of the time on TV, he has not really gotten to, that hasn't come through
Yeah,
so much.
Wuthering Heights doesn't come up like a lot in conversation on Bravo.
It's like, man, I just, Taylor Ann, but also.
He's like, if you know The Great Gatsby, like he just loves a reference. He loves like literature. He's a man in person. He does give the vibe of a man who like owns multiple properties.
Yeah.
You know, has signed his name on a lot of paperwork. And
I'm curious when you're putting together a feature like this, I think one thing that I'm interested to see is when these photos are coming out and some of the quotes, like the sort of, people are going to roll their eyes a little bit at some of the,
how dare they?
the red flags of it all. Like Is that something that you're thinking of and you're like, oh yeah, like people are
Yes.
gonna
I mean, we had so many funny working heads for this. It was like Bravo's most eligible bachelors, and then in parens, like if you ignore the red flags, or like red flags only. Like we had all these jokes, but like at the end of the day, these guys, they are pretty lovable. And it was funny because it's like they are red flags, but you sit with them, you talk to them, and you're like, I get it. I get why they have captured many hearts and broken many hearts. Like, to your point, when you sit here, you get to know them as people a little bit. You're like, okay, there's more to this story. There's more depth there for the most part. By the way, the breakout hit, the star from the shoot was, I always say his name wrong. It's Fraser. He says Fraser like laser.
Yeah.
Fraser. He was a riot.
He actually, we had him on the show. It hasn't, I think it will come out next week when people are listening to this, but he was in town to do your shoot. And then I think he came on our show like the next day and he was like, I shot something really fun yesterday.
He was wonderful.
And I was like,
he is so chic, so elegant, such a Brit, funny as hell. He should write a dating book for straight men because he gave such great advice to the guys. He told them that his best dating advice, based on like everything he knows from his girlfriends, is be proactive and plan something. Don't leave it like, yeah, let's go grab a drink. Like, make the plan. Because like, I mean, yes, you make a million decisions a day, especially when you're a woman. You feel very like analysis paralysis. If a guy asks you out, you want him to have a plan in mind.
Yeah.
It's very attractive. He was great. He also said, no food on the first date for him. He doesn't want to see your bad manners. He's like, so come fed and don't make me like judge your terrible table manners. He was a riot.
He's somebody where I feel like if he had been on Below Deck like 7 years ago, he would be one of the biggest like Bravolebrities. And now like Below Deck, I feel like has sort of like settled into its own like niche a little bit.
He basically said in our interview, like, this is my like public call to the producers to please cast more men who share my sexuality. You're the reason I'm single. We were laughing. It was really funny.
Yeah, it's tough. There's a lot. Just the male energy on Below Deck is a challenge.
Yeah.
I'm curious for you. What's your Bravo origin story?
Where am I at in my dating journey? I mean, I was back in the original OC when they first debuted this show. I loved all of the Housewives stuff, but I think my favorite shows now are the ones with the guys, Southern Charm, and I love Summer House. I've been watching The Valley. It's a tough watch. I'm not liking my characters as much. It's hard not to side with anyone. They make marriage look pretty miserable, and as a married person with children, I'm like, ooh. But yeah, I'm happily in Bravo land.
Do you feel like your relationship to watching these shows has changed as you've moved through your life and gotten married, had kids, gotten older?
I mean, I am probably one of the few people who enjoyed RHONY the last 2 seasons with the new cast because it reminds me of where I'm at a lot of them in my life, and like it feels familiar to me. That group of New Yorkers is the closest thing to like this media world we're in. It doesn't help or hurt, I guess, that a lot of people tell me I sound like Erin Leachy, and I give Erin Leachy vibes, and I'm like, thanks, or I hate you. I don't really know how to answer.
Yeah. But
that to me was like I saw a lot of my world in that, and sad that it's the one that got detonated. Well, I'm like, the one that most spoke to me was the worst one.
It's like the most universal. No, but Real Housewives of Dubai. I think that
never made it on my radar. I love Salt Lake. I loved Dallas.
Yeah.
I really loved Dallas. Those ladies were wackadoo. Like that to me, I live in the suburbs now, and I didn't when Dallas was originally on. I was still in New York City. And I remember being like, what is wrong with these women? And now that I live in the suburbs, I'm like, oh, that's like par for the course. Like getting hammered in the middle of the day and taking your kids like cheap out. Like, you don't have much to do. You're going to find,
Dallas is one of those shows where like I recognize the flaws and I understand why it went away when it did. But like, I will still tell people, like, if you've watched everything else, those like kind of middle seasons of Dallas where they had sort of hit their stride,
I enjoyed
Crazy
Ladies of
shit.
London. I missed that.
They're bringing it back.
I saw, but will we get what's her face in her hair? The one who is the former sister-in-law of Caroline Stansberry, who had like the most amazing head of hair.
Yes. Yeah. The other Sophie.
Yeah, Sophie, and like the nicest divorce. Like they were pretty fabulous. I liked them.
I'm really curious what that sort of reboot means.
The Earl of Sandwich.
The Julie with the ball, the
Yes.
jump balls on the bike. But they announced it. They were like, oh, like a new, like a fresh group of these ladies. And I'm like all of them are new and fresh.
Yeah, I'm going to need some of my old, like Juliet, like they need to stay.
Yeah. And I think like with RHONY, you know, those 2 seasons, like however you feel about them, like rebooting a show like 0 to 100 is it's tough. And I'm like, Ladies of London has this sort of small but vocal like fan community. And I'm like, I feel like it would be hard to really just start fresh.
I want to interview the interviewer. What do you want to see for RHONY? Because you're like a Bravo scholar.
Yeah, when this past season was ending, where I kind of landed was I think the cleanest thing to do would be to get rid of both Brynn and Uba because I think they kind of just almost like had this like vortex around each other, and I didn't love the way that either of them were handling conflict in the group. And then I think Jenna likely wouldn't come back. That just would seem kind of strange to me.
There's not like much more to do with her.
But I think between like Erin, Jessel, Sai grew on me in her second season.
Talk about going into your therapy toolbox.
I think there could be like a framework for that. The hard thing is like, is there a world where it works to bring back some of the like OG RHONY ladies with them? I have a hard time seeing that.
Oh my God. Like, that would be kind of hysterical.
Like Dorinda hanging out with Uba. I don't know.
I feel like there'd be so much screaming.
I don't know.
So much yelling. I know.
But it's tough because then it's like you have, you know, like Luann's on Love Hotel right now. And it's like, love to see Luann, you know, making out with a gentleman in Mexico.
I have not watched that one.
Medium.
Yeah,
I'm medium on it. But like, other than that, she's going to do that for 6 weeks. And then it's like, when is the next time we're seeing her? We're not seeing Dorinda. We're not seeing, Sonia's having some moments right now.
Confused. So what's interesting about like Bravo right now is I consider Bravo and its Bravolebrities to be celebrities. I think like that was obvious to a lot of us who observe and engage. But now, like, especially at People, like, I think this shoot, we were sort of like, if you're not a fan, you obviously know of it. So this is like an introduction to this world. And I'm going to tease, because I won't say because our publicist is here, but we have another huge Bravo story coming soon with one of the Housewives that is like, again, it's like, what are you not seeing on camera? What's the story behind this story? Because there's so much more to these people and what goes on, whether it's something really light and their dating worlds and how they're really handling fame, or their true darker stuff that I think is like relatable.
Yeah, I was actually, something I was curious to get your POV on is like, you've been at People for a long time.
13 years. I started as a child. I like Doogie Howser style.
Yeah, that's crazy. You were 6.
Yeah. Prodigy.
How have you seen sort of like the audience interaction with the Bravo world shift during that time? Because I feel like in the 2010s, you know, those earlier years, you had these like massive Bravo stars like a Nene, like a Teresa, really breaking out into culture. And now it's like, we've talked about that ecosystem being so established, but like the opportunity to break out maybe is different.
What I do think is interesting and what I noticed, so the week of the Bravo shoot, we also had that app party I mentioned with several housewives. Jersey housewives were there, some New York housewives, Carl, Lexi, and then I also did the NASDAQ to celebrate the app with Paige DeSorbo. So I had a week of being Bravo adjacent and observing how people react to these stars, and people lose their damn minds around them. It is really interesting. Like, I have interviewed Julia Roberts, for example, and people are impressed.
Yeah.
But when I put a picture on my Instagram of me and Paige DeSorbo, the people who come out of the woodwork to be like, oh my God, I love her, is shocking. And you find out that way, way more people are watching Bravo, and the people necessarily you wouldn't think, like those really smart people you grew up with.
Yeah, it's like the smart people. I still love, and I like whenever a celebrity kind of like drops a hint that they are a Bravo watcher, I'm like, okay, I see you.
We had celebrities at the app party, like, please, please, please bring me over to meet, Carl or Melissa Gorga. It was just really fascinating to see. And we brought Paige into the Times Square, and like people stopping her for photos, and then people at NASDAQ who were like, I'm a giggler. My roommate's a giggler. Like, it's just really interesting to see how it has become culture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe it's less that there's less of an opportunity to break out, but more that it's like not as big of a deal. It just is a thing.
It's not like a dirty secret.
Right. And that something like the table flip 15 years ago was so crazy and scandalous. And now it's like,
well, what? Yeah, now you have to set that table on fire.
We're all just watching it.
Yeah.
We're all just riding the roller coaster.
I know. It's so funny when you think about like some of the darker moments we've seen, and there's so many of them that I think we've become a little numb.
Yeah.
We're like, what else do you have for us?
Yeah.
Like the Valley almost like doesn't register as like how awful these people's lives are and their relationships, because we've seen so many bad relationships on Bravo.
Also because you're watching The Valley, and it's like Jesse and Michelle go from literally calling each other like hookers and whores to then the next week Jesse's like, I mean, I didn't do it. Like, why is she so mad at me? I didn't do anything that bad. It's like,
yeah, I know.
Okay.
I know. It's pretty it's pretty cringy to watch. Yeah.
And it's like not every season is going to have the feds storming the beauty lab and laser parking lot.
Which is a shame, because there's a lot more crime, I think, on Bravo than we know, and we should really be looking into it.
Yeah. I like to tread lightly because, as I remind everyone, I'm not a lawyer, but
you could play one on TV. How do you feel about Rhode Island? What do you envision?
I was going to ask you because you live in Connecticut. Right?
I live in Greenwich, yeah.
And that was rumored to be something they were tiptoeing around.
Bethany was a Greenwich resident, and it was rumored that she was assembling a like Real Housewives of Fairfield County situation. And I was like, that's impossible, because I would have been called.
Assembling really makes it sound like she's like, we're putting together an elite squadron of rebel fighters.
Yes, and I think that's what it was. And everyone knew of someone who was going to be on it, and and then nothing. And look, it's like I said, it's like any suburb. There's some crazy, crazy stuff, and I think like cameras should be up all the time. I assume it goes on in Rhode Island too.
I've seen people online, and I've heard people talking about apparently the area that they're centering on in Rhode Island has a lot of like Italian and Greek.
So that vibes
community.
Jersey to me.
So the rumored cast that I've seen is like sort of Jersey coded.
Yes, and
not all of them, but like there's a flavor of that.
Right. Because there's like different vibes of Rhode Island. You could get the like blue blood Vanderbilt castle crowd, or you could get that. And I feel like we want the latter.
Yeah, I feel like the people that live like where Taylor Swift has a house in Rhode Island, they wouldn't do it.
No, they wouldn't do it.
They wouldn't do it. And if they did, it would be boring.
We don't like our housewives to withhold. Right?
Like, I don't think like Housewives isn't a platform that is actually meant for like American aristocracy. It's meant for people who aspire to be that, but have no chance.
Yeah, if you've fallen from aristocracy, or perhaps you were married to a Morgan at one point, we'll take you.
Absolutely.
But if you're currently in any kind of position of like respect and you hope to keep it that way, no thank you.
If you hope to be, if you hope to stay within the good graces of the, dynastic American family, probably the Bravo cameras are not. But I'm excited. I mean, Rhode Island is one of those things where I'm like, okay, we're going to see that in a year, maybe. I'm like,
and it could give us like a Salt Lake. Like no one saw that coming. And that was like some wild.
The show that they recently announced that I think I'm the most excited for actually is Wife Swap Housewives Edition.
So from what I understand, this is Real Housewives with real people swapping.
Oh.
I know. I was listening to a podcast and Andy Cohen was talking about it, and that was like, what is that
I thought
give
it was
us?
going to be the housewives swapping with each
I
other.
know, but it's actually with real people.
That could be so good or so bad.
Like I'm like trying to picture like my husband going to live with literally any of them.
Like you're getting sent to take Emily Simpson's place next week.
Right. And vice versa. Like it's so odd.
Like some poor civilian is going to have to dodge Joe Gorga grabbing her ass in the kitchen.
Right. Like, or make like a chicken cutlet for him.
Like the sauce don't taste right.
Right. Like,
Babe, do it again.
Mean, I'm assuming they're casting real people who could be real like they have that energy.
Well, it's interesting comparing it to Love Hotel, which I know you said you haven't watched, but it's all these guys, straight guys. And
aren't they like men of a certain age?
Some of them. There's like guys in their 30s. There's guys in their 60s. It's kind of a wide range.
So like fathers and sons.
They ask.
That's different.
They ask a lot of the men when they first show up, like, do you watch Housewives? Have you seen Housewives? And like across the board, they all say no. Like multiple of them say they don't even own a TV. I'm like, I don't know how we're arriving here.
Yeah, how did you get here?
But there is something to it. I mean, it kind of goes back to that, like the dating idea that it's like, okay, so you're showing up here like you just got off a bus from Iowa and you have like no idea what's happening. Because that seems like, you know, it's one thing for somebody to not have somebody come in and say like, oh, I'm a Housewives super fan. I've seen every episode of RHONY. That would be a little weird. But it's also a little weird to be like, Sorry, what's this? Who's these girls? It's like, you need to be able to handle Shannon Bedore.
Right. So it's funny. I think it was Jesse Solomon who said, now I'm blanking on what he said. He said a lot of things. He was talking about how there's a lot of upside for the Bravolebrity. Being on these shows. You get a platform, you can build a business, you get all the excitement, the Instagram followers, the whatever. But for the person who dates you, there's just a lot of downside. Yeah. And I didn't really think about that. Like watching like on Southern Charm with Taylor and all these people, like you're the plus one basically. And like, what do you get from it? Sometimes you get a spot on the show, right? And it works out. And then sometimes you just have like a semi-famous guy and everybody's, you know, as your boyfriend, everyone's just tearing you apart on social media and you work in like marketing. So I don't know how those relate. Like, it's almost like they have to date other Bravolebrities.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I felt like the Paige and Craig situation, I never really was like, some people just felt so strongly that it was like fake for the cameras.
I don't think it was fake.
I don't think it was fake, but I also think it's like, it's so believable to me that people that have this shared experience would connect in a way that maybe they wouldn't if they just
like trauma bonded,
met each other, you know, out at a bar. She's in Charleston for the weekend. Like, it makes sense that it's like, oh, there's only maybe like a couple hundred people in the country that have this experience. And the amount of them that are like single and attractive and in my, you know, age bracket or whatever, it's like, yeah, like it makes sense.
So I have something fun for you. That isn't in the article, won't be online for a bit, is we asked them all who their Bravo crush was.
Oh.
So who do you think Tom Schwartz said? You know who Tom Schwartz said. Lisa.
Oh, God.
He was like, it's always Lisa. So his answer, wait, do you like that I brought the transcripts? Because I was like, this is Bravo, and we bring receipts.
It's maybe a first to bring receipts to the podcast recording.
Receipts, whatever. I'm like, listen, I'm not misquoting these guys.
Timeline, screenshots.
Yeah, I'm not.
Everything.
I'm not. And I printed it out like this is like 2004. But he said, I think whenever I'm asked if I have a Bravo crush, I'm always like Lisa Vanderpump, which is true. She's my forever crush. But I feel like I got to mix it up. He watched his first Beverly Hills season, and he said Boz had a hell of a season. And he has a lot of man crushes. He likes Kyle, Carl, Shep, Austin, Craig. Like the guys, which I thought was hysterical. But Carl, this was the fun one. Carl said that a lot of people have been telling him he should meet Sally from Southern Charm.
Yeah.
And that they would hit it off. But he said that his crush, everyone knows, is Sierra. Like, he's still
it hurts my heart a little bit because I'm just like,
He said, I mean, my crush is Sierra. I'm just going to be honest. If you watch Summer House tonight at 10 o'clock or at 9 o'clock, you'll see me embarrass myself.
not the tune-in details.
Seriously, Sarah
You're
is
like, sir, this
absolutely
isn't
my
airing
crush.
this isn't going online for a
Yeah,
month.
he's really good at the promotion. So I did think it was interesting.
I do think about like how many more crossover relationships realistically, like there aren't that many people.
And what happens? You know, it's funny. So I really was immersed in the Bravoverse. After the shoot that night, I moderated this conversation with Jesse Solomon at the Soho House. It's like written by, produced by, starring Jesse Solomon on Jesse Solomon. I was just there to ask the questions.
Is this like an FYC campaign? Like, is this,
It was so, yeah.
does he want an Emmy? Like,
it was like me and him on stage and then like a room of ovaries and like two guys. There were so many women there and they were, I don't know why, like, were they there to like maybe date him? Like they were dressed to go out. It was an interesting scene. And he's very charming. He was very relaxed in that setting. He was, I think he was like drumming up support, like almost on the campaign trail ahead of the reunion.
Yeah.
You know, like there was something about it that was like, and I say this as someone who interviewed him earlier and liked him and still thinks he's a good guy, but like, you guys love me, right? Like you'll have my back, like Team Jesse. But I asked him, you know, how is it different dating now than it was before you were famous? And he said, it's not that different. I never had trouble getting girls. And I thought, oh, Jesse, we got to work on this. Like, you can be confident.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say that. I would say maybe there's even more people to meet. But he was feeling looser than at the People shoot because I think he was among his supporters.
Right. It's like, like there's
audience.
100 people and they all want it. So
yes. And I think like it was really fun. It was a really weird experience, but I enjoyed doing an even deeper dive, following my deep dive on him. I felt like I got my PhD in Jesse Solomon.
Like I'm a little too in
that day
in the head.
Yeah. So I'm like excited to see the reunion. I want to see what happens. What do you think?
I'm interested to see because last season with the West and Sierra stuff, it was like West was so ill prepared for the obvious way that it was going to go. And that was frustrating to watch as somebody who's watched a million of these, that it's like, dude, like do your homework, work on what you're going to say. And I imagine that Jesse will be a little better prepared and anticipate kind of what will get thrown his way. Other than that, though, I'm kind of like, what else do we really have to talk about? This has been a real
smear campaign against each other.
Yeah.
Like they really have taken to the streets to like share their sides. Like she's out there. I'm like, again, to bring it back to what we were talking about earlier, was it ever that serious?
Yeah.
What are we talking about here?
Well, I've heard people, I've seen a couple people kind of posit that like post Scandival in the Bravo world, both like the people on the shows and the people watching them, there's kind of this instinct that it's like every breakup, every scandal is like, has to be at a certain
we did ask them
volume.
Actually. That was one of my questions on set was like, has Scandival changed the way you dated? And they all were kind of laughing like, it reminds you that everybody is watching.
Yeah.
Like this is not just happening in this like room. It's going to happen in the play out as Jesse is seeing. And, you know, he did say he was getting like a lot of bad feedback from it. And it's a reminder, most of them said, mostly Carl, to like, you know, keep your side of the street clean because you can't lie and cheat. It's going to be out there.
Well, and I think that was something where it's like coming off of the Scandival like era, even with what happened with Lindsay and Carl, like watching it, it was like, man, these two people just like really didn't seem like a good match. Yeah. And like they had a lot of issues the whole season. And like, I understand why Lindsay felt how she did afterward, but it was like, that wasn't the same. This wasn't a bombshell in the same way. No, it wasn't a betrayal in the same way. And I think like level setting a little bit of like, okay, like something can be a really compelling episode of TV or a really, you know, exciting storyline, but it's like, okay, this isn't like, we don't need to
Right.
elevate it to that
Do you
level.
think that West deserved all the blowback he got last season?
I think he deserved a good amount of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think he deserved enough to really make himself stop and think and be like, oh, okay, yeah, like I need to think through stuff differently. And I think because of who he is, it took a lot to get him to that point.
We wanted him for the shoot. I'm going to say it. Sorry. I'm going to say it. And we thought he would have been great. As far as we know, he was eligible.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, he declined. And I was like, this is going to be fun. This is not a reunion. This is not a watch
It's not
what
a New York
happens.
Times profile.
It's definitely like we are here to celebrate you and celebrate what it is like to date in your shoes. Like this is actually a fun chance to not redeem yourself, but to share more of who you are. But he wasn't ready for that.
Yeah, I think he probably got a little bit like scarred from last year, which is, I mean, yeah, like take a breather. He's going to be fine. This season has been fine for him.
Who's your favorite Bravo Bachelor?
My favorite Bravo Bachelor. I really like, I mean, Southern Hospitality, those guys, they do a good job.
I wonder what TJ, like how he would have influenced the panel. What
TJ, the hot dog king of Charleston.
Yes. I mean, he's kind of like a pot stirrer. I mean, not kind of, he is.
Yeah.
And I would have liked to had his flight not been canceled, blame, air traffic control or whatever. I would have liked to dig deep into his life, and perhaps we will have another opportunity.
Yeah.
So you like those guys?
I like those guys. I think Hospitality has like really, kind of leveled up in the last year.
Were you happy of the news of the engagement that we broke exclusively?
Emmy and Will, yeah.
Is there another engagement I should be aware of?
No, I just for the people. I think I wish them all the best, whatever that looks like for them.
Mm-hmm. Looking forward to seeing you on the Valley Southern Hospitality version.
I hope they're really happy right now, and I hope they continue to make whatever choices make them happy.
Wow, are you in politics? That was really good.
Wherever path that leads them down. If Will's at law school,
I mean, I appreciate.
Who knows what will happen?
I appreciate it for the storyline alone, because, like I said, I binged Southern Hospitality in an alarmingly short amount of time in preparation to interview TJ, which then didn't happen. And I was like, I'm a journalist. Do your homework. I'm going to watch all of it. So when I saw that exclusively, we were going to post this, I was like, so it happens, which is so good for the next season.
Yes.
But
when I saw that, when Leva posted that she was leaving Southern Charm, and she was like, the way that she worded the announcement, that she was like, I'm stepping back from Southern Charm. It doesn't make sense for me at this point. But I'm excited to focus on all my businesses and continuing Southern Hospitality. And I'm like, hell yeah. Power move.
Yeah. Businesswoman.
Power move.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's good. It's kind of like what Summer House, like there were people always watching Summer House, but then it took off. I feel like we're about to get there with Southern Hospitality.
So at the first BravoCon, all the way back in 2019, I hosted this Summer House panel, is a strong word, because they at that point were like, who the fuck cares about Summer House? So there was like the main stage, and then there was this satellite venue that had like a small stage and then sort of like tables and mingling area kind of. And they were like, it's actually going to be a Summer House happy hour. So you're going to bring out the cast, and you're going to announce them all, and then they're just going to go out into the audience and be mingling with people. And then you can just like wander up and find them and ask a question. And then you can, move to the next person.
Hell.
And I was like, okay, cool. Sounds fun. And we were doing this, it was 2 nights in a row. So it was like Summer House happy hour Friday and Saturday or whatever days. It was a fucking mob scene. The first night we go out there, first of all, there's just too many people to mingle, but also if they're out in the crowd, it's a fan meet and greet.
Now you're just like a gal with a mic.
Now it's the Jesse Solomon fan club.
Yes.
With
the meeting
close
of the ovaries.
access. And it was like, you couldn't hear it was loud, you couldn't hear anything, it was packed, we couldn't move around with the microphones, whatever. It was like Okay. Yeah. So then the second night,
They're like, did you get everything you need? Is it good? Everyone's
I
good?
think we asked like three. It was like no questions got asked.
Mm-hmm.
So the second night we were sitting in a row of chairs on the stage.
Yes.
Everybody had a microphone.
Civilized.
It's like, yeah, okay, this is a show that people care about. If you put the cast, if you throw them to the wolves, it's feeding time. Like,
Right.
but yeah, they've come along. I think at BravoCon this year, like Southern Hospitality will have like a big reception.
I mean, at the very least, they need a real reunion. That's not on Watch What Happens in like the little stadium seats.
Putting them in their little face boxes. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. I think next season, I think it'll happen.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, Andrea, we have come to the time in the show for our segment inspired by the legendary Tamara Judge, where we hold space for our strongest reality TV hot takes and personal beliefs. We're each going to have 60 seconds to get activated about our opinions, and you can let us know in the comments whether you agree, or whether we're alone on Scary Island with no friends. Andrea, do you have an opinion ready to share?
I only have a face.
Okay.
So I've been thinking about this, and I've gone like full circle from where I was. So, ready?
Yeah.
Every couple should be required to watch The Valley. Every married couple as couples therapy. Here's why. It is a cautionary tale of what happens if you don't communicate with your partner, if you marry the wrong person, marry for the wrong reasons, think having children is going to make things better, think having more children is going to make things even better. Because when I watch it, all it makes me do is want to stay married forever and never have to go through a divorce. These people make it all look so bad that it actually makes me want to be a better wife and a better partner. And I hope it does the same for my husband, because when he sees how miserable a getting divorced woman is, I think it's motivation for him to make me feel good about myself and to take care of our children and to not drink so much that he passes out and misses the group dinner, because I will not wake him up by saying, "Oh, honey." I will kick him in the ribs. 5 seconds to spare.
That's your opinion.
And that's my opinion.
I love that. It's like, I feel like in like the Catholic Church, you have to go to like premarital counseling or whatever.
Watch The Valley.
The Valley is, you're like, so you're making a vow, and this is what it could look like if you don't
initially
take care of
watching
it.
it this season, I was like, this is miserable to watch. Like, you hate everyone. No one's fun. Like, everyone's getting divorced. These marriages aren't happy. And then you're like, wait a minute. This is actually making me feel very connected to my husband, because I can't go through that. That is miserable. And I think it shows you how making the wrong decisions and not like doing everything wrong where it's going to get
It's like
you.
Scared Straight kind of.
Yes, it's Scared Straight for married
for
people.
married couples.
Especially when you have children.
That's so dark, but it's so true.
And everybody should have to watch it before an engagement or even after, because like this is what happens when you get married for the wrong reasons, when you force it, when you think having kids is going to make things better.
When you move from Kentucky to date a known scoundrel.
If you push someone to move to Santa Clarita, where are they moving?
I think so.
It's like, like it's not going to look good on once the separation and then divorce. Okay. You're going to get Jesse and Michelle at the very least.
Why is a gay guy sending you money on Venmo?
You're going to get a gay guy Venmoing you money, which doesn't sound that bad. Depends on how much and for what.
Money's money.
Anyway, that's mine.
Okay. My opinion, and this is just a personal belief, I don't really need to see more dating shows. I have never really, 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 really loved watching a dating show. And I know that this is a hot take because they're so successful. They're so popular. I've never seen an episode of Love is Blind. I've never gotten into Love Island. I know people love watching Love Island 6 days a week, 7 days a week, whatever it's on. It just doesn't speak to me. We have Love Hotel right now. It's fun watching Luann make out with 2 guys in one night. It's fun watching Ashley Darby talk about how her coochie is choosing which man to keep in the Love Hotel. I don't care, though. I'm not invested. I don't care about these relationships. I don't think they're real. I can't get myself to believe that they're real. King's Court is coming on. I'm excited to see what that's going to be like. But also in my heart of hearts, I'm like, I don't think I'm going to care about that. The Bachelor is iconic. It just doesn't click for me, and it hasn't for a long time. And I'm sorry to everyone, but that is my opinion.
Wow, beautiful. And I have to tell you, I share it, and I share it deeply. I've never seen Love Island. I've never seen any of those shows. They don't speak to me. I don't think
90 Day Fiance, that passed me by.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, obviously, like, to each their own, and I understand the draw of it, but I just feel like I like watching people navigate. I like watching relationships just sort of play out versus like a competition format.
Right. Again, I don't like games. Games implies fun. You have to have fun. It's not something
It's
I'd rather.
forced fun.
Yeah. I'd rather, to your point, watch it, start, develop, know it should end, but instead they get married and now we have the Valley.
Right. It's like, okay, I need the 8-season version of this. I don't believe that you went on 2 one-on-one dates and
I
now
want her to be
now you're in love.
shocked that he turned out to be a bad guy,
Yeah.
even though he's been a bad guy since day one. Like, I would like to see every moment of that.
I agree. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Thank you.
This has been really fun.
So fun.
And congrats on the new issue. I hope
Thank
everyone
you.
checks it out.
They better.
Where people.com. I don't
People.com,
People
on
app.
our Instagram. The new People app has like great exclusives behind the scenes from all of this. And then I always tell the youth, there's this thing called the newsstand. They have them at like a lot of drugstores, grocery stores, other airports. It's like there's paper and I have words and pictures bound together. They're really fun. Check
We
it out.
love a magazine.
I love a magazine.
Congratulations
Thank
on
you.
the issue. Thanks, Andrea.
Thank you.
And thanks everyone for watching, for listening. Don't forget to rate, review, subscribe. And until next time, be cool. Don't be all like uncool.